This is a video explaining the use of my, what I'll call my limited edition discharge box. I say limited edition, I don't know how many of these I'll make. I don't like this unit as good as my other unit, as I cannot calibrate this unit. It does have a cooler display, a little more info right on the screen, but like I say, I don't know how many of these I'll make. I'll go through the setup. This is a brand new unit that ain't even stickered up yet. I'm gonna test it out. We'll first set it up, get it ready to go, and then we'll discharge the battery. It's got the same internals as far as a resistance bank as my white box unit. About 23 amps on the high range, about 15 on the low range. Anyway, we'll get started. First thing I'll do is plug it in. And we'll make some setting adjustments here. Go through the middle out, that's your on-off position. But we'll go through it here, get everything set up. We'll start at the top. There's got a bunch of settings here on this side. First one we'll set up is we'll go to the top, we'll go to the OCP, which is the overcurrent protection. We'll want to change that to 26 amps. And the same way with the overvoltage protection, I set these up to prevent the discharger from being damaged from charging a 3-cell Lipo or anything besides a 2-cell. The OCP reading, I got it up there, move the red dot up using the up and down arrows, and then click OK. That'll get into the settings down below. We'll want to set that, I can choose between 0 and 50. You want to set that at 26 amps. So I'll hold the button down, top button, it's going up as we speak. I don't know if you can see that or not. We'll set it at 26 amps, only over a little bit. Just go use the down arrow, there it's set at 26. Next one down is low voltage protection. This is the reading you want to set to where you want your display to, or your unit to shut off at. We'll set it at 7 volts. That is where I would normally set it. And this is the other thing why I like my white box unit. It will actually adjust to the 100th of a volt, where this will only adjust by tenths of volts, so I can only choose either 6.9 or 7. We'll go ahead and set this one at 7.0. Middle button gets you in this thing. The lower part of the screen changes, and that you want to set that to 7 volts. And click it on up here and get it up to 7. Over voltage protection, I want to set that at 8.8. It's 8.8 volts. Anything over 8.8 volts, the unit won't operate or it'll shut off. It's got it set. Go down here. Now it's got this fancy display on this left side. That has nothing to do, and that's where we'll set this up. It's in the battery setting. What I do, and what it'll do as the battery is discharging, that display will go down. It doesn't affect how the battery discharges. It just, the battery setting is just for that little display right there. And what I like to do is set up in amp hours. We're actually dealing with milliamp hours here. Normal discharge full pack is about probably 33 to 3500 milliamps. So we'll want to set that figure at about 3.3. That's where I've been setting them anyway. So we'll go ahead and do that. Get it up to 3.3. Then it asks you the percentage. What I think this really does is it'll cut down the display, but I'll just leave it at 100%, which that's the way it'll work the best. The set position, there's several settings here. Start status, that's when you plug the unit in, whether it's on or off. We want that set to off. Delay time, there is a delay. You can delay the unit, and what it does is after it shuts down from its low voltage protection, it'll wait that amount of time before it turns it back on. So say you walk away, you want to kind of keep discharging the battery until you get back, kind of keep it warm. You can set that delay, but I wouldn't really recommend it. It isn't nothing that you need to do. So I'll leave it at 0 seconds. Relay level, it's got H and L. We want to leave that at L. That's the way it makes the relay inside work right. And then it's got display off time. What it is, if you set a seconds up there, it's got a range from 0 to 60 seconds. You can set a time on there and then the display will shut off. I just soon leave it on all the time, so leave it at 0 seconds and then that'll be fine. That's your 4 settings in that. Oops, I went on past it. Now we're back and everything is set up. Now I left the CLR alone, and I'll show you what we'll do. What it does is actually clear out to the bottom part of the display, and it also resets the little battery gauge at the same time, and I'll show you how to do that later on. I'll clear it right now. It's got some time on there because it was on when I plugged it in. I'll reset it. It resets the time. And that lower display, it's got an amp hour reading, watt hour reading, and then it's got a time that it's on. Now this I'm not really for sure what it does. I think it's something to do that this display, it can actually be wireless and it can control multiple different of the boxes inside of it. I think that is for so you can look at all the different units. Where we're just using the one, it's direct wired, we'll leave it alone. And I'll put the clear out the, set it back to 0, the time on it. It'll reset the display on the bottom part, the amp hour, watt hour. And since it's in amp hours, that's the main one you want to look at. That shows how many milliamps you take out of your battery. Milliamps is a thousandth of an amp, so like 3,300 milliamps is actually going to show 3.300. So rather, displaying milliamps, it actually shows amp hours. The bottom setting, the address setting, leave that alone. Unless this little, it's got a little A01, B01, C01. You want that set to 01. If it accidentally gets changed, it's going to happen in that address setting. But you want to keep it at 01 because if you change it to 02, It's for that wireless thing. It actually loses contact with the board in there, and you can see it's changed to a red X. You don't want that because then it won't be reading nothing. So let's leave it at 01, and then you'll be fine. And everything is displaying right there. It'll go back to green. You'll show your on-off. Now it's got an on-off on the top. It's also like when your battery discharges, when it's done, it'll turn red and it'll have a LVP for low voltage protection. So that's how the unit works. There is settings below the address, what you can do to get into them. You got to hold down the bottom button and then click on through it. Sometimes I have trouble getting in there, but there isn't really anything you need to worry about down there. No, I can get it to go down there or not. We'll see. You got to hold down the bottom button to get it to go in there. There it did. It's got a language adjustment, which of course you're in English, so it's all good. There's a channel selection that'll change the little letter at the beginning of the A01. You can change it from A to Z, so if one of your buddies also has one of these units, I don't think there would be any issue with, since they're wireless, or if they were wireless, we aren't using that part. It's actually direct wired inside there, but you can change that little letter at the beginning, and then if your buddy has one, as long as you two are not on the same letter, it should be fine. It should be fine anyway. We'll go ahead and change this one. Oh, I screwed up already. See if I can get back down there again. Okay, I'll change it. You gotta hit the OK button to get in there. Then you can change the channel, which we'll just set this one at J for instance. And then there's also, you can change the brightness of the display, which is bright. I don't think you'll have any need to change that. But anyway, we're through all that stuff. We'll get back out of there. Go back to out. We'll discharge the battery. Now, the other thing, like I said earlier, I don't like these units because you can't fully calibrate them. Get them, and what I do, I like my display on my eye charger. It's really accurate. This battery shows that it's at 7.48, actually closer to 4.9. Right now it's about 4.85. And that's the other thing. If you can see this, the voltage, it won't zero out. There's nothing I can do to change that. But as long as the upper voltage, when the pack is plugged in, is pretty accurate. It's this one is showing 7.49. It is real accurate. From the ones I've seen, there may be a discrepancy of 5 to 7 hundredths of a volt between that and my eye charger. And that kind of determines whether I want to use 6.9 volts as a cutoff or 7 volts as a cutoff. This one's right on. Well, like I said, when we set the low voltage protection, we set it at 7 volts. That should be a good number to use. Pack is plugged in. We'll go ahead and discharge. It's got 2 ranges. Like I say, I don't have my stickers on here. There'd be a sticker down here to say low and high. That's the high side going that way. We'll go ahead and turn it on. Like I say, again, I can't calibrate the amps on this. I think every one I've seen so far reads maybe about an amp or a little less low from what the unit actually discharges. And as you see, or maybe can see, I don't know, As the voltage drops, the amperage also drops too. So if you got a fully charged pack, it will be discharging at 23 amps. Where here, as the battery's about ready to shut off, here at 7 volts, it's down to about 20 amps on the display, which is probably about, I'd say, a half an amp off from what it's actually doing. But we'll let it go. It's at 7:02. Gets to 7. It should shut off. It'll turn the LVP up in red up there instead of on. Shouldn't take too long. It should be shutting off. The display's got volts, amps, and watts. And also down below, I've taken out, like right now, 427 milliamps. It shows 0.427, and it ran for 1 minute and 16 seconds. Now you can see the voltage is off. The voltage has come back up to 735. And the way I like to do it, I like to discharge it on the high range, let it shut off, you know, and if I walk away or whatever else, I can come back, click it down on the low range, hit it again, and we'll take some more out of the battery pack. And this side, like I say, to me it's about half an amp to an amp off of where it really is. Like, it should be about right at just going under about 15 amps right now. If you were on one of my other units where I can calibrate it. It just shut off again. You can see that's finished about 7.2. That's where I like to see my packs when I'm done with them. 7.2 to 7.3. Like there. When it drops down, once it gets around 7 volts, it'll start dropping fairly quickly. That usually means one of the cells is basically discharged, and will drop fairly quick. Now I'll go ahead and show, like now you can see maybe that the battery little thing has gone down a little bit. What you can do after every pack you get discharged is go down to the CLR setting, hit the OK button, and it'll reset that battery bar. It'll take off and reset the lower display also. And that's why everything's back to 0. Anyway, then go back to out. Out is where the on-off works the unit. Like I say, it should shut right back off since we're discharged, which it did. So that's the operation of the unit and how to set it up. Like I say, I prefer my white box one. The display actually works better. It's a little bit harder to adjust my white box one. This one looks a lot cooler. And like I say, I don't know how many of these I'll actually make, but this is the operation of this unit. These will be for sale on eBay here just a little bit. Thanks for checking out the video.